Hello, welcome to another episode of the Crefts Couch Pod. I realized I don't normally introduce myself on here as with your host, Dr. Janine Kreft, because I figure if you found me, you already maybe know me to some degree, perhaps not, because if someone referred you, you might have no idea who I am. So my name is Dr. Janine Kreft. The fancy doctor is because I spent a lot of years and a lot of money on a psychology degree. So I am a traditionally trained clinical psychologist. However, after graduating and working for a long time in this kind of Western model of medicine, I realized it wasn't really for me. And I started to look more into holistic routes, alternate healing, energetics, and all these different modalities. So now I define myself as a mental wellness and energetics mentor as I facilitate folks through healing in their mind and body through all these different amazing energy techniques: EFT tapping, quantum linguistics, neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, access consciousness, you name it, I've studied it, most likely. So that's who I am, and I really love taking this podcast to explore just kind of what is up in my world and how I'm learning, making connections about where I function from. So I share stories about what's happening and how I'm learning from it, expanding from it, and share that with you all, because I've found when people share stories and how they learn, it has been such a benefit for me. So I hope you find this beneficial. Today, I'm going to chat a little bit about a car, which might seem odd, but I have learned so many lessons already from it. So I'm really excited to jump in with this. And first, I just want to share a little bit of housekeeping. Officially, the Nervous System Sanctuary is open. This is my subscription service that is $9.99 a month. That's $9.99 a month, and it is insane. It's already a smash. I'm so excited with the folks that are in there and choosing it. And basically, it's about applying the nervous system regulation tools. It's like, you know the information, so let's apply it. So we have a weekly call where I'm guiding you through a regulation practice. So even if you just choose that, what would it take to show up and receive? And then there's also this other huge element, the community, where you can connect with everyone else who is choosing it, and where I'm dropping micro content and where you can drop questions so I can curate the subscription experience to the energy of the group. So I'm just so excited about this container. It is already so expansive, and the energy is so huge with it. So if you are feeling pinged, I would love to have you in. The other thing that is happening is my Outcreate Your Diagnosis Masterclass. That's the January Masterclass. I do a Masterclass every month that my Courage to Choose members, that's my membership, join in on, or you can join us just a la carte, like just for the class. So this one was actually inspired by members in the group who were just working through health diagnoses, mental diagnoses, and looking to create something different. So a lot of my points of view are stemming from a choice and empowerment stance. And so that's where I'm really looking to create this class from, that you do not have to be your diagnosis, whether it be mental or physical. What else is possible? Because when we come from that place of curiosity and question, we can actually shift it. We have the potential of moving it versus being with the conclusion that, well, this is what it is. Oh, well, I just have to manage it. I like to stem from a very different place of what else is possible. So I'm going to be teaching folks how to connect, communicate with their body energetically, muscle testing, all these sorts of fun, amazing tools to move the energy and see what else is possible. And start to create an identity that is healed, that is a different version of the illness, of the disease, and finding more ease in life. So if that pings you, let's go. We start on January 10th with that one. That one's 2 calls, January 10th and January 12th. So, alrighty, I think that is all that's happening right now. So let's jump into this car story and see where it goes and what I have learned. So I have driven a Mini Cooper and Mini Coopers actually for a long time. And I love them. I love a small car. I've just always enjoyed them. They're so fun and speedy. And the current one I have is a 2013. And she's still good. She's got like 116,000 miles on her, and she's been with us in Colorado, Chicago, and now Texas. So she's in a lot of states and a lot of climates. And I've loved the car, and it's been really sturdy. And it's funny because I noticed through periods of where I went through and that I was focusing on more scarcity, I was coming from the point of view of, I really don't care about fancy cars. I don't need a fancy car, really, right? And I don't need those things. And that's all just interesting, right? But looking back on it, I can see it as kind of a withholding, not allowing myself to be something, be an energy of too greedy, be an energy of a spoiled brat. It's like, just appreciate what you have and be grateful what you have, like kind of that energy. And so as I started to look at that recently, I was just kind of musing with the idea of a luxury car. In my new area of where I'm living in North Dallas, there's just quite a few luxury cars around, and all of a sudden it's just kind of piqued my fancy, And all of a sudden I was like, wow, I guess I do like a luxury car. What would that take? And so I've just really stayed in that question because currently it's really not something that I'm desiring to spend money on. And at the same time, it's got a huge pull on me. So I thought it could be a fun experiment for me to play around with it because I like to see, as I've mentioned in my previous episode about actualizing and manifesting the house, I'm like, okay, well, what is possible with a car now? So I really didn't think too much about it in the holidays. I mean, I would say in like December, January, it's like, I guess we're just in January, so it's more December, that I was starting to just put my attention to the idea of a luxury car. I was pretty vague with myself, although I was starting to notice the white Porsches around and they just looked really sleek and fancy, and the 4-door kind of mini SUV, something that still felt very practical and, but just kind of an upgrade, because why did we incarnate but to have fun and enjoy the material world? So I started to put my attention to that. And of course, what happens when you put your attention to something, you start to see it everywhere, right? So everything is then reflected back to you. So I started to see these freaking white Porsches literally everywhere, whether it be the Macan, the Cayenne, these two models that are like these SUVs, if you will, like 4-door SUVs. I literally saw them everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, does everyone in this area own one? No, well, my mind is just focused on that. So I just thought that was all interesting. And then as January rolled around and I'm in a new container, like personal container, I was looking at, well, okay, if I'm looking to expand myself, what could I put my attention to this month? And I was like, you know what, I'm really going to actually put it towards this luxury car because this just seems fun and exciting. And I'm seeking to, perhaps you listened to the previous episode where I talked about training your attention. I'm really looking to do more of that, right? With the visualization and all that stuff that I talked about in there. Definitely listen to that episode. So as I started to think about the car and put my attention to it, I just would start to imagine while I was in my older Mini Cooper and pretend that I was actually driving the luxury Porsche. Like really, I could smell the new car smell. I could almost see the brand new digital screen, just seeing the outside as this sleek white color and just feeling really fabulous, right? So it's funny how quickly when we put our attention, we train it to a point of focus that we feel different. And what I noticed in these just fun, pleasurable way of putting my attention to a luxury car, how fast it shifted my mood. And so that was of note because, I've done a lot of different things, nervous system regulation and other meditations, but something about visualizing that future expansive self that gets you really excited, kind of like a kid would, daydreaming, wow, shifts my mood fast and has really trained it that I am just feeling overall better as well. So that was pinging me for sure, because I'm like, okay, this is a thing to be visualizing here. I've always heard about it, but I'm doing it in this really different and fun way that just makes it really easy, right? And so in this process, I'm not seeking to go into the how or go into the doubt, right? I'm looking at, okay, I'm going to give that up. That is the universe's job. I am not worried about that. I am just going to enjoy it as if it's happened. I don't need to know how it's going to happen. I just know that it is, right? It's already done. I am vibrating as if I have it. How does it get better than that, right? So it's really like I continue to train my attention to having it. It's already had it, and imagining while I'm driving it. Okay, so the coolest thing happened. So I was taking my Mini Cooper in to get serviced. She needed a couple things. I don't know, the low tire light was on, the engine light was on. I was like, oh my gosh. So I brought it in early January. And if you've been to the dealerships lately, in my experience, there have been no loaners to give you. It's like, oh, we can send you an Uber or hopefully you have a ride, kind of vibes. And so I was already planning to wait there, do some work, hang out, have them fix it or whatever, or have my husband pick me up, right? And so I get there and to the dealership, and the gal said, do you want to wait or would you like a loaner? And I said, oh, you have loaners. Oh my gosh. I just got so excited, right? Already the energy was really bubbling. A loaner. How fun is that? I would love a loaner. Thank you so much. Like the gratitude, especially when it was so unexpected, then was so natural to resurrect. So I thought that was of interest, right? I was already not expecting it. And so here, oh my gosh, how fun. I'm going to get to drive a different car for who knows, a day or a week or whatever. So I was like, cool. All right. So how exciting is that? Great. We'll get the car all set up. And she says, okay, cool. After we do everything, I'll send, the gentleman over to get you set up with the loaner. Perfect. So I wait about a couple minutes and gentleman comes over and says, talks to me about it and says, so what kind of loaner would you like? And I'm like, what do you mean what kind? Like I get to pick? So before it's been like, I'm excited. Like there's just barely the chance to get a loaner. I can't even get it out right now. There's barely a chance to get a loaner right now, let alone be able to choose. How did it get better than this? Like, oh my God. So he was like, well, some people generally like to have, a similar car or they want to try something different. And since Mini Cooper is part of BMW, he was saying, so you could have a Mini Cooper. We have tons available right now. He's like, or you could have a BMW. And I was like, oh, excuse me, a BMW sounds really nice because here I am in luxury car vibes. So he was like, well, so what car would you want? And I was just feeling in that playful energy and said, well, what do you have? Like, tell me what it is, universe. And he's like, well, we have all the way up to a 5 Series. And a 5 Series is like pretty fancy within BMW world. And so I was like, well, I would love a 5 Series. How fun is that? And so it just, the energy kept building. So here I am. I'm like, wow, holy cow. Okay, this luxury car vibes, it's already, something is taking form. Something's taking shape. So even though I've been somewhat, I would say vague with my point of focus with what specifically I wanted, I knew it was just going to be like something white and like a bigger size car and fabulous, right? So he comes back and he tells me, well, unfortunately, we don't have any 5 Series. I'm just kind of staying in the energy still of how does it get better than that? And he says, but we have some 7 Series. And I was like, oh my God, So the 7 is like even grander and more luxurious. I mean, we're pushing on like almost a $100,000 car that I've literally never driven ever, that high price of a car. And so I'm like, how does it get better than that? Holy cow. I'm just feeling so giddy, like a little kid. I don't care if I get to drive this just home and straight back. Like, how fun is this? And so I'm just dwelling in all of this excitement energy. And then the next thing I'm thinking of, well, usually when you get the rental car, you just get some random color. You get the red or the blue, or, that's usually been my experience with Mini Cooper. Well, what does he bring me over to but a 4-door white large car? Not the SUV, more of the sedan-y type. However, it was like very close to kind of what I had been emitting to the universe. And I just stood there with my jaw dropped for the moment. And of course, I get in the car and he shows me how to turn it on. And it's all very fancy. And like these things are so different now from my 10-year-old car. And I look at the odometer, of course, it says, or the gas gauge, and it says there's 111 miles till I need to fill up. I'm like, okay, universe. Okay. Wow. How does it get better than this? And driving home and getting home, I'm telling my husband, you got to go see this rental car I have. Oh my gosh, how does it get better than that? That's so exciting. It's what I've been manifesting. And just to even have the experience of it, right? Not necessarily like I'm not at the ownership point yet, but what is this telling me? What is the universe reflecting back to me that I be? Because just this little time of really training my attention to something and just feeling really good and excited. I mean, this has helped my overall mental health, I can tell you too, just doing this kind of daydreaming exercises. So I get the car and I'm like, okay, when do I have to bring it back? I don't know, maybe tonight, who knows how quickly they get to my car. So the next thing that happens is someone contacts me from the dealership. And of course, because I'm so excited to have this car, I'm like, well, what would it take to have it like for a period of time so I could really enjoy it and see what I like? And so someone contacts me from the dealership and they say, hello, thank you so much, like texting me. We will get back to you next week about your car, yada, yada. And I was like, next week. And then they send me a quick text right after that. Oh, I'm so sorry. We mean, by tonight, we'll get back to you. And of course, me looking into everything energetically, I was like, oh, what were they aware of? Were they aware that I was going to have this car for a week? They already knew. So I was like, I bet you I have this car for a little period of time, because I was like kind of tapping into the energy of it. Well, what do you know, when they get back to me and they tell me about the parts they need to replace, the battery they need to order, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, it's going to take a second for these parts to come in. So we're looking at, we'll get back to at least 5 days from now, 6 days from now, and kind of see where we're at. So I was like, how does it get better than that? I get to really dwell and practice in this energy of what it's like to have this luxury car, right? Not am I only just visualizing, I get to like sit in one, drive day to day, and really just kind of practice that energy and basically then normalize it for myself, right? So that it's no longer this unexpected thing. This is kind of my new norm, so to speak. Like this is the vibe. I drive a luxury car kind of thing. So the next step that I took to kind of play around with this is to start to get more clear on what I desire, because I realized what showed up was, somewhat obviously being white and larger and whatnot, was somewhat close to what I desired. But then I realized I wasn't being totally clear with myself and with the universe. And I noticed how much I actually either don't ask for what I desire or am really clear about it. So this is kind of where the larger lesson came from, because I thought, you know what, let me just look at the Porsche website, because the Porsche is still pinging me. This BMW is fabulous, but what would it take for me to actually get specific about what I desire? What if I didn't see that as greedy or spoiled, that I actually could experience exactly what I desired rather than just kind of taken what's given to me, so to speak? Coming from a place, of course, of this like immense gratitude and also What if you are willing to receive all the things you're desiring? And so I noticed where I was cutting off my receiving, and I'll tell you why. So I go to the BMW website and I start playing around, right? And I'm still looking at this Macan, this Macan, Cayenne, these like bigger models, these four-door models, because I'm like, it's like practical. If I'm going to get a luxury car, I should really have four doors, even though my husband and I don't have kids. We have a dog and we don't generally drive people around, and we have another four-door car. So, but yet I was still going into that, kind of conclusion. And then I thought, well, what else is possible? What do I really desire? And as I started to look and I saw the little like two-door sporty cars, Cayman something, my heart just like exploded. And I know we're talking about a car here, but there's like such a larger lesson, because all of a sudden I was very clear. Oh no, this is what I desired. For what purpose have I decided that I can't have a sports car, right? That I can't have a two-seater, whatever. I have to be practical because that's the right thing to do. And so I like built them all out online, like played around with it like I'm going to do this, right? Again, don't know the how, don't know kind of like all that pieces yet. Yet I build them out as if. I build them out as if the color, the specs, the interior, and then I look at them side by side. So I'm looking at this like four-door thing, the Macan. I'm looking at the little Cayman one. I hope I'm saying that right, actually, now that I think about it. But the little two-door one. And when I look at the two, I just noticed how when I was looking at the four-door, how much I was going into, well, I should choose this. This is the right thing to do. Don't be too greedy, and all that contraction. And I was like, holy cow, where else in my life am I doing this? Like, I'm like, obviously, this is the vibe I've been functioning from, right? And so as I'm seeking to expand my energy and be a different vibration, it's really going to be stepping into, what do I desire? What am I willing to receive? How am I willing to be seen and seen as, right? Like what other people might think. I mean, people will have all sorts of points of view when you drive a fancy luxury car, right? Projected at you. And so what would it take to be that? So it was so helpful to just get clear on that I was not asking truly what I desired and not allowing myself to ask. But just by taking myself through that exercise, playing around with it, having fun, it shifted so much for me. So I've noticed that between the car experience and now doing yoga much more often and trying all these different poses, that I'm really finding this sense of play and fun that I've been missing out on. And so that's my focus for 2023. So that's where we're at with the car. I don't know what the next ping is. I'm getting pulled to just go to the dealership and drive it, like test drive it, to, again, also kind of normalize it for myself. Just make it like, no, I'm not going with the plan to like, I'm going to go sign the papers. More just, I'm going to try this on for size. How does it feel? And make it really normal for me, right? Like it's almost like, yeah, this is no big deal. This is already what I do, versus it having be so outside my comfort zone. Because I can tell you today, like where things are at, I wouldn't choose that price of a car. So I'm wondering what has to shift, what will drop into my reality, what will change in order for that to be a possibility with total ease. So I'm just playing around with it and we'll see where it goes. And if you want me to talk more about it or an update, because I know this was kind of a different episode. However, I do get that it was super relevant into like how I was functioning. And I hoped it provided some aha or clarity moments for you. So until next time.